A lot of people complete Form W-4 incorrectly, and perhaps you've never noticed, but you signed this form under penalties of perjury. That's a lot of perjury. Now let's walk through the form together so that you can complete it correctly and avoid over-withholding and under-withholding and perjury. Hey, while you're here, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so that you're notified when new videos come out. Thanks for watching. Here's the 2023 Form W-4. It was changed a few years ago, but everyone still remembers the basics of the old one. They'll say, I completed my W-4 as married claiming 3. Well, right off the bat, I know that you haven't done a W-4 in a few years, or you didn't pay attention when you were doing it, because there is no more claiming 3 on this form the same way that there was on the prior version. Let's take a look at it. Step 1 shouldn't really confuse you. You put in your name, your social security number, and your address. Step C might cause you to pause for a minute. If you're not married, then you're probably single. Check the first box. If you are married, but you file separately from your spouse, or you want your income tax withholding to be higher, you can also check that first box which says single or married filing separately. If you're married and you file a joint return with your spouse, you probably want to check that middle box which says married filing jointly. The third box, head of household, it's only for those who meet the requirements stated right here on the form. You're unmarried and you pay more than half the cost of keeping up a home for yourself and a qualifying individual. We're not going to go through the requirements for being single, married, qualifying surviving spouse, or head of household. You can find definitions for each of those in the Form 1040 instructions under the section Filing Status. Step 2 is for anyone who works multiple jobs or for married couples where both spouses work. There are 2 methods here. You can use the multiple jobs worksheet on page 3 and enter the result in Step 4C below. Or you can check the box in Step 2C. Now there's some explanation given on the form for when 2C is better than 2B and vice versa. In Step 3, simply do what it says. Most couples make less than $400,000 and most single and head of household people make less than $200,000. But if you make more than that, you can leave these lines blank. Everyone else, simply multiply the number of kids who are under 17 that will be on your return by $2,000 and enter the dollar amount on the first line. If you have any other dependents, you can multiply that number by $500 and enter it on the second line. If you aren't sure who dependents are, I have a video on that, plus an updated one coming out in February. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss that one. Add those 2 boxes together and put the total in box 3. Step 4 is making specific dollar amount adjustments to the amount of withholding. There are withholding tables that are based on the frequency at which you get paid, how much the pay is, and the filing status that you claim. That table provides the proper amount of withholding and can be found in IRS Publication 15. If you put $50 into line 4C, then your payroll software will take the withholding from the table and add $50 to it every paycheck. The amount in line 4A will also be added to what the withholding table says, and the amount in 4B will be subtracted. Okay, now we understand the basics of the form. So how do you reduce your withholding? Unfortunately, it isn't that easy. If you want to know how to increase your withholding, that's really easy, so let's start there. Simply get your current W-4 on file from your payroll department and complete a new one exactly the same way, except put the extra withholding that you want per paycheck on line 4C, give it back to your payroll department, piece of cake. You're done. What about reducing your withholding? The IRS is very concerned with people under withholding. There can be penalties and interest imposed if you don't have enough taxes withheld. Certain responses on this form will reduce your tax withholding. It has no impact on your actual taxes owed. So if you under withheld, you will have a balance due when you file your taxes, and possibly penalties and interest as well for the under withholding. Now is a perfect time to draw your attention back to box 5. Once you complete this form, you sign it. That's pretty easy. But have you ever read what it says above the signature? You are signing this form under penalty of perjury and declaring that it is true, correct, and complete. So we mentioned that the number on line 4B will reduce your withholding. However, if you simply type a number in there without completing the appropriate worksheet with true and accurate amounts or reasonable estimates, then you're committing perjury. Increasing the number in Step 3 will reduce withholding. But again, if it isn't true and accurately, then unfortunately, you're committing perjury. So I do not recommend that you approach this form with an attitude of how do I reduce my withholding. I suggest you approach it with an attitude of simply completing it accurately. The vast majority of people will complete their info, check married or single or head of household, possibly check the multiple job box, multiply $2,000 by the number of kids under 17 that you're going to claim on your tax return, and then sign it and submit the form. Yes, there are plenty of situations where you'll want to use the additional worksheets, most of which are for increasing your withholding, but many people won't need to do that. Even less will need to complete the deductions worksheet for step 4B to reduce their withholding. Given the large standard deduction right now, very few people are itemizing their deductions and therefore wouldn't need to complete this step. If you still have concerns or questions about this form, it's best to reach out to a qualified tax professional to ask your specific questions so that they can give you specific instructions that apply to your situation. Please share this video with others and check out some of our other videos while you're here. Thanks for watching.